Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. Right, I'm looking at heavy support choice, the very last one, and that is tomb spiders. No, sorry, they're not called tomb spiders, are they? They're called Canoptek spiders. Can't get my head around that. There'll always be tomb spiders to me, so apologies if I say tomb spiders. Okay, so modelling point of view, I have 6 of the original metal ones, which are these. I actually really like these. I know the new ones do look pretty funky. They remind me of that thing out of Matrix for some reason, but yeah, I do like the old ones. I do plan on getting 3 new ones to give me my full squad of 9 tomb spiders one day, but at the moment I find 6 is more than enough to do what I need to do with it. One thing that I didn't like about the original model was the fact that you couldn't actually put in one of the little plastic rods, which is what I really loved about Necrons. I know a lot of people don't like them, and this is where I started to paint my guns like a plastic rod on this particular model, and that corresponded over into my Annihilation barges, etc., all the new stuff, the Tesla stuff that comes out. I try to paint that as if it's got the plastic rod in, because I just, it's the theme of my army, that's what I like. Anyway, yeah, tomb spiders. So I would say actually that the tomb spider was the very first unit I actually learnt about tactics. So as a brand new Necron player, bearing in mind this way before I knew anything about internet and all that stuff, just playing with a few of my buddies when I first started up. Had a few warriors and a Necron lord, got myself a tomb spider. Nice toughness 6 monstrous creature, couldn't really turn it down. In those days he could generate a spider onto his own unit each turn, slightly different now, but that's what he could do. So yeah, I looked at it, thought wow, toughness 6 as a monstrous creature, and I put him up front, and took me a few games to realise that he was being targeted and shot very quickly up front, and that's when I started to move him towards the back of the phalanx, and saw that he survived a little bit longer that way, and that's when it really kicked in to my head about tactics, that the game isn't just about lining up the models and just moving forward. There was a lot more to the game. So yeah, the tomb spider, that is where my tactical side started as such. Okay, so a few options with this guy, and he's actually pretty universal in what he can do. So it's 50 points for a tomb spider. This is my sitting bull, sitting down there. Yeah, 50 points base for him, and then you have 3 options. You have the fabricator claw array, which basically lets you help repair vehicles if they get immobilized or weapon destroyed. Now in my experience, I don't tend to get immobilized or weapon destroyed. More often than not, it just gets wrecked. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. I mean, I can see the use of it. It's a nice thing to have. Whether you'd actually want to buy a tomb spider just to sit and buy your vehicle in case you get weapon destroyed I very much doubt it. Arguably you could put him behind a monolith, maybe, could be worth it, but I don't think so. Next is your Gloom Prism, which is your only anti-psychic psychic defense that you have with Necron army. It's the only one. Now sadly it only works for units within 3 inches of the spider, which is very small amount of inches. So basically, if you want to use him as a sort of defense, psychic defense, then you've got to embed him right in the middle of your flanks, so he can reach out to those warrior units as much as you can. Disadvantage in that is a bit like the old days where you were crowding round the resurrection orb. Well, now you've got to crowd around your Gloom Prism. Obviously, if you're coming up against a lot of armies that have a lot of psychic power, especially aggressive psychic powers where they're going to be in your face, could be very, very useful. But if you're not, then I actually wouldn't say it's worthwhile using it that way. So then you have your particle beamer which is a very, very nice gun. So it's basically a small blast template which is twin linked. It's only 24 inches but strength 6. Pretty nice, but it's fairly expensive. Taking one of these with a gloom prism, 75 points, and if you want to take it on everyone in the unit, that's again a big investment. So although those three options are pretty useful options, personally I prefer to use them just as they are, so just the base model. And there's various ways of using it. Like I said, of course, the key thing with these is making scarabs. Now, unlike the old times, you can't just have a spider and then make a scarab. You can't do that. You have to make scarabs on units. So you have to start with a unit of scarabs. And as long as these are within 6 inches and they're not in close combat, they are able to generate a scarab swarm at the start of every turn. So if you've got these at the beginning of your game with a squad of 3, make sure they're protected, soda pulses, Imotech, and then turn 1, turn 2, you've actually got yourself a nice little squad of scarabs. Now I don't want to go into scarab farming too much because I've got videos in the archives about scarab farming. They're called Necrons of 6th edition. I think one's called the Scarab Farm, one's called Tomb Spiders, something like that. You'll find them. Just search Necrons of 6th edition. So I've got a lot of tactics already laid down for that. But yes, the Scarab Farm is probably the key thing to the Tomb Spiders more than anything. A few lonely Tomb Spiders in your list. Very useful if you're playing small games. You know, you've got a spare 50 points, stick one of those in, fine, that's no problem. But I think really it's sort of, you've got to have a reason that you want to take these guys, either psychic defense for your units, or to generate a small scarab swarms like this, or potentially to have the big scarab farm. Like I said, more in the archives about that. Okay, so that is it for the heavy support choices. I'm now going to move on to the Ghost Ark dedicated transport, another big key unit for the Necrons. Thanks for watching.